I worked hard and I got paid for it, so that was the biggest sync I've ever had. See, a lot of people just want to eat the bread rather than bake it. So I had some songs on Australian TV shows and New Zealand shows, a couple of commercials. I would say six spots on American TV shows. I feel like the key is just to keep making more music. I actually have one song in China with 2 million streams, and I have no idea why.
You did something for This Is Us?
Well, they didn't want me for my songs. They didn't want me for my face. They didn't want me for my hands.
Your hands?
They're like, do you know Royals by Lord? I'm like, yep. I went to school with the guy that wrote that song, and I was like, oh, we need a keyboard, and ended up being for Craig Robinson. And so I was just like sing along. He got me up on stage, and we did like 6 songs together. And he sat me down. He's told me,
They're Good at That Shit, where I talk to independent musicians who are killing the game, talk to them about what they're doing well, get their tips, best practices. My guest today is an amazing piano player, has some sync placements on some big things that you would know. Also gigs around town a lot, super talented. Even has songs with a couple 100,000 streams. Lisa Crawley.
that's a fine introduction.
What's going on?
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. You know, just like stoked to be talking to you. And yeah, thanks for that introduction again. I need
absolutely.
to, can I put that on my CV?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all true. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with, so you've gotten a lot of sync placements, and one I even saw, you did something for This Is Us, which is, of course, a huge show. So, tell me about that.
What, about This Is Us, especially?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't want me for my songs. They didn't want me for my face. They didn't want me for my hands.
Your hands. Your hands were in This Is Us. That's still cool. So yeah, what happened with that?
I was watching the Seinfeld episode. Do you watch Seinfeld?
Not really.
There's an episode where George Costanza is a hand model, and that same day I got a text saying, "Send me a picture of your hands," and I was like, "Okay, like niche," but no. So they needed someone to copy Mandy Moore's, like to be her playing a song in the show.
Yeah.
But not only that, they needed to be an elderly version of her.
Okay.
So they dressed me up, because she plays herself as an older woman in the show. So we wore matching outfits, and they're like, "Do you know Royals by Lord?" I'm like, "Yep." I went to school with the guy that wrote that song, and and co-wrote it, and then So, and it's a New Zealand song, so it's like, yes, I knew that.
Right.
So yeah, that was kind of different to having my songs on shows. That, and I did another show. I've done a couple of jobs acting when they wanted me to play in a scene or something like that. So done a few different things like that, which was a fun little side gig here. I used to do some acting in New Zealand, so it was kind of nice to do something here. But yeah, the sync placements, I guess it's been a way. I think my first sync placement must have been in about 2011, so quite a while ago. And I think it was my first album. Yeah, so I first had a publishing company in Australia for a little while, and then that wrapped up. But during that time, I almost was able to like not live off that, but like it was a substantial help in my way of paying the rent and things like that. Yeah. So I had some songs on Australian TV shows and New Zealand shows, a couple of commercials. And then I found out that one of them was on a French shoe ad without my knowledge. So that's when I kind of was like, what's going on? What else is out here? So a certain company was up to no good. And And so I was going to a conference in LA. I just got my publishing rights back, and I saved up when I was living in Australia, even though I'm from New Zealand, and went to the Sing conference in LA in 2015. And I'm like, I'm going to find out what happened to my song. So the company that they were working with that put it out, I got an Uber to Culver City. I had no idea where that was, and talked to them about it. And learned that one of the companies was up to some shady stuff. So always be across where your songs are going.
Okay.
But I worked hard and I got paid for it. So that was the biggest sync I've ever had, money-wise. So I'm glad that I fought the good fight.
Yeah.
You know?
No, talk about that for real, because I'm sure that might be something that other artists might run into. Like, what would you say, or what would, I guess, just be your advice for anybody who is looking, to do sync or is already doing sync? Like, how would they kind of avoid that? Or if they find out that that's happened, what should they do to make sure they get paid?
Well, first of all, that's the only bad experience I've had. I know there's some really trustworthy sync companies out there that would never try and pull the wool over someone's eyes. I know you've had Chelsea Coy on here, and she's one of the best.
Yeah, for
Chelsea.
sure. Yeah.
But in that case, so that case, my Australian publisher had sub-licensed to an American publisher, and between there, someone wasn't communicating to me what was going on, and I actually had a New Zealand Microsoft commercial sync, and I knew about that, but I didn't know that I got reached out to by a charity company called Oxfam, and they said, "Oh, but your song's already on this other ad," and I didn't know about that either. So I kind of pieced it together, and it turns out the company just were not really mentioning to me what was going on. And I've always got my auditions and my jobs ever since I was a kid, like by looking at the newspaper cutouts for auditions. I've always been like pretty forensic about that stuff.
Okay.
So I was like not going to let that slip. So once I had all the facts and I was like, this is on here, they were like, "Oh, sorry, we overlooked this." They were going through a rough patch or something, and it was just frustrating when you're a songwriter and booking your own shows. I mean, you think that's their like corner that they deal with. So, but yeah, I got to the bottom of it and just found out that there were other placements that I wasn't being told about. So, had nothing to do with that company again, and was just very careful about the next one I worked with. Okay. And in 2018, I went to a songwriting conference. I wasn't living in America by this stage, but I went to this Hawaii Songwriting Festival, it's called. And that's where I met a lot of the great people that I still work with now, and the sync company I've been working with for the last 5 or so years. And so I signed up with them, and had a really great experience overall with them. Sometimes things come and go. It's quieter sometimes things are busy, and it depends. Like for me, I guess as an artist, I was excited about moving to LA and writing for sync, but because I like the challenge of writing for other people, even if something's not necessarily for me, and it's something you're good at. Didn't we win a songwriting?
We actually did win a songwriting game show. Shout out to Top Tune. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, this is a super cool thing where you write a song essentially in like 20 minutes, 17 minutes.
So I first did that the first time I went to that conference, the same conference in 2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard there was a comedian that was on the panel, a guy that's in a lot of like the Christopher Guest mockumentaries that was being a guest, and I was like, I have to do that. So that was my first top tune. So interesting timing wise. But yeah, with the sync stuff, I worked with a company called Think Music, and they've been really good and very like quick to respond when I have a question and things. And I gained about, I would say, six spots on American TV shows. Okay. Yeah. But it can go quiet for a while, and sometimes you're like, what's going on? So I feel like the key is just to keep making more music. But the songs that I did write, like I had more success with the songs that I were not written for sync. They were just my true artist songs, and I wasn't thinking about. I only had one that I co-wrote on that has been placed for sync. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
interesting. No, I've wondered about that, like in terms of whether it's because I know there's people out there who they look at briefs, they get the briefs as they come in for sync, which the brief is just like the kind of document on what it is the companies are looking for in a particular song. And so I know people that get the briefs and they will write something.
Absolutely.
And they do that and they just write songs for sync. But then there's other people who just kind of take their original music and give it to sync companies, and they do it that way. So I
like both. Because I work, do some freelance work on that website, SoundBetter. Okay. One of the ways I earn a little bit of money from writing lyrics for people on there, or top lining, or helping them develop a song.
Okay. So this is SoundBetter. Hold on, I'm not familiar with this. So,
okay. Have we not talked about this before?
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, SoundBetter, and you said it's a way you can make money off of like music. So talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, yeah. So when I moved here at a pretty weird time. It was January 2020. I saved up to pay the lawyers for my visa here. Okay. Moved here with no savings, and I'm only allowed to work in music. So when the pandemic hit, I was like, I can't get live gigs, and I'm allowed to work in music. So I was looking at like other websites, and this one, I signed myself up as a songwriter singer, vocalist, and also like top liner, so writing like vocal melodies and lyrics, and piano tracks or clarinet tracks. And people can hire you. You can set up your profile, list what your skills are, have a little demo of what you do. You can write your fees down. You can discuss like upfront if it's going to be a co-write and that kind of thing, or if it's a work for hire arrangement. And then people can approach you on the site, and then you can have a chat about that and figure out the details. And so I've had about 40 jobs in there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, over the last couple of years.
Wow.
A lot of them are more like people that might not have the resources to work with like a producer. Like in LA, we're so spoiled with all the people that are around here.
Yeah.
But there's like, I've written for people all over the world, and even someone in Turkey that went on to cover one and release one of my original songs in Turkish. And it's and then you can kind of sit, like, say, just so it doesn't go on forever, you're like, I'll give you this. With this includes like 2 changes after this. We might have to charge a little for the changes. But I've only had 1 or 2 like experiences that have been a little more challenging than others. Yeah. Well, it's also like they're taking a gamble with us as well. And so it's good to both be as honest as possible what we're looking for.
Right. Because
I've had to really look for all kinds of work, and here in LA as we do, that was pretty helpful, and I still get little jobs coming in. Like one woman that I wrote for recently, her song won a sync competition, so she's going to record it now in a big studio, and she's asked me to sing vocals on it, and so it's been an interesting way of connecting with people outside of the LA songwriter scene.
Awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, with that, the syncs that I've had, I think I had 1 or 2 that have been like writing more like upbeat, like sassy songs for good vibes, like where I'm not necessarily sure if I want my name on that, if it's going to be released. Not because I don't like good vibes. It's more that I'm trying to create a certain brand for my own music.
100%.
Yeah, so I just talked to them about that. I have like an alias for that. And then for sync, I might have a little couple of like very folky songs that pitch for like, car ads where it's like wintertime and things, I don't know, just different things. So if I'm pitching to, like, I have all my songs up on SoundCloud and Disco now, but I put them in themes as well. So if like someone's like, we need a song that's in this style, ideally it's something out of my own Lisa Crawley catalog, but I also have other things that I could send them as well. So I'm just trying to build that up.
Yeah. So you have it all kind of cataloged.
Yeah, I have like moody, like songs that could. Like I have about like 6 songs that I feel like could be good trailer songs, like moody kind of Netflix dark songs. I got dark covers of like a Blondie song and different things like that. Yeah, most of my placements have been. I did get told from my sync rep that sometimes my lyrics are too sad. Like the melody might sound upbeat, and the lyrics are a little on the dark side. They're like, come on, give us some more. I'm like, I'm speaking my truth. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so now I'm with one on a non-exclusive basis. So I'm like looking for other opportunities with sync as well myself. But I've had a really great experience with the one that I've been with for like 5 or 6 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it's something that since I've been playing live so much lately, I'm kind of keen to really put some energy into next year. Because I used to almost live off sync, kind of, but then it just got everyone's into it, and like there's so much competition.
Sure.
And I think like 10 years ago, anyone with like a ukulele and a xylophone could get like a cute little ad, but now it's getting very competitive, which is good. We've all got the resources to make stuff. I had this, oh my god, I got shortlisted for this Apple ad. Oh, also own all your assets and keep your files organized.
Okay.
Because like I had this little song from an EP in 2009 that I recorded at the studio, and it like no longer existed, and I didn't have my files, my instrumental file for that, and it was pitched for an Apple ad, shortlisted for an Apple ad, and like, but we need the instrumental now. And I was like, am I allowed to swear in here? I'm not sure. Can I swear?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, shit. Like, what am I gonna do?
I mean, hold on. The name of the podcast is they're good at that shit. So.
I know. Okay, that's true. That's
do
true.
Your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of traumatic, and I tried to make a new instrumental like super quickly, but yeah. So if I had everything good to go, and this is someone like my brain is like not good at like organizing folders naturally. I don't get off on like, ooh, I'm gonna do a spreadsheet. You know, it's just not, my brain doesn't work in that way.
Sure.
I'm trying to be better, but like have everything good to go, have all your lyrics ready, have all your themes, the instrumentation of the song, keywords as well. So just like before you approach a sync company, like I think some people that might have like 5 songs think that they will like want to get a sync, and it's not off limits, but I think like having the bigger the library, the better, and the more appealing that you're going to be to a company. So that's kind of my world. And I think every time I nearly, you know, in terms of pitching for other people, I had a song that I got told that I got, and it was like gonna get me over to America. It was like $20,000 or something.
Wow.
Before the split, before their commission. But still, I was like, oh my God. And I wrote that song in like half an hour in my pajamas at my dad's house in New Zealand.
Okay.
And so you just like never know what's gonna land with people. And then they said they were into it, and then they like changed their minds. So I think so.
Man.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think actors have to deal with that all the time. They're like, you got the gig. Actually, you know, you did it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But man, that Apple ad, that's tough.
Oh,
right
I know.
there, but.
And you know what? Like someone told me that song was never gonna like. They're like, oh, this sounds too much like a weird jingle to be or any kind of single or.
Yeah.
So it's like someone heard it on a college radio in America, even though it was it was like 2000 and a long time ago, and I wasn't in America. So send your music out to people as well, to college radio stations.
So so somebody with Apple.
Yeah, it was nothing to do with my sync company.
It had nothing. Then they just somehow they
reached out to my then manager, who was now like found out to be a con artist.
Oh wow!
A long time ago.
Okay.
School of Hard Knocks, you know. But and so they reached out to him. And he's like, instrumental now, and I was like, shit, like.
Wow.
Yeah. So you never know when someone's gonna hear something, and someone heard my single "Boy Don't Cry." That's how I got in KCRW. Was someone hearing it online and that person had a show on KCRW. I had my distribution company that I've just put out my last 2 songs with have a relationship with a radio promoter, and so that was part of the deal. So I had a little more luck with the single I just put out, because they also extended it to that college radio network. And I mean, I'll email radio stations still in New Zealand and Australia, those couple of like, remember those couple of people that have really backed you and just
past,
and send that out to them. And even if I don't know, they might will just support you, they might play it again. And I think it's worth like persisting with a couple of emails, even though I know for one I hate being like, hey, me again. But just try and like personalize those emails as much as possible, and you know, find out something about the person that if there's a show you really want to be on, like listen to that show and maybe comment on an artist that you've enjoyed, and like so it shows you're actually listening to that, which is something that I would do with I know you're probably familiar with Submit Hub. Yeah. So I would always do that. I would like go and listen to that playlist.
Right.
Not just be like copy paste. Sometimes it's hard because it's quite taxing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a lot, for sure.
It's a lot. But I think that stuff can kind of make the difference. Like that's kind of been my way of reaching the people I've reached. Like when I did go to that Music Expo conference, the one that was in 2015 in LA, you know, I saved up a couple $1,000s to come over. And it's so hard to know how to go to these conferences, because you see this like line of songwriters, and you see these panelists that are like, and eyes kind of glaze over, and it's like, how do you cut through amongst those people? So for me, I always try and like go about things a different way. Like Seymour Stein, who has now passed away, but he was a very sweet person. He signed Madonna and the Smiths, and he was one of the panelists, and at that Music Expo conference seemed to be the person that was most interested in melody and the songs, because they did these kind of like, let's listen to your songs and critique them thing. And he was just really sweet. And so I kind of not stalked him, but I was just like, found him in the lobby, and I overheard him saying he was dehydrated, and I had just been sick. And I had these like hydration fizzing things. And I was like, sorry to interrupt. Do you want one of these? And then we talked for like an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was very, very sweet and helpful, and like, took the time to listen to my music.
Nice.
But if I was just lining up like everyone else, I don't know if he would do that.
Sure.
So I try and find out. The same with like, not to go all over the place, but when there was a producer I really want to work with in New York and still really want to work with, I instead of just like I was playing at Rockwood Music Hall and I had the like what seemed like a shitty slot. It was like Monday at midnight.
Okay.
I was like, well, no one's going to come to that. But I emailed him. He's worked with like Lana Del Rey, Paul McCartney, did my favorite Regina Spektor album. So I was like, how am I going to reach this guy? So I Googled him and then I kept Googling and looked at his interests. And it turns out he had this like blog, looked like something out of GeoCities in the 90s or something, but about his art projects that he's doing, like separate to music. And I found that email and I emailed him there.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Be a weirdo.
Yeah, no, I think that's...
And then he came to my show at midnight on a Monday.
Wow. No, that's super
Invited
cool.
me to his, like, wasn't creepy. Like, invited me to his studio the next day to hang out and, like, gave me a lot of advice on, he's like, you sound better live than on a lot of your recordings. Like, this is what you know, here's some couple of tips. And
nice.
Should I have the money, I'd love to work with him again. But it was so, like, nice of him to give me the time.
1,000%.
Yeah. And he probably appreciated that I reached out in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's huge. I think that's good advice just in general, like even for like playing shows, even like booking live gigs. Like if you want to, I mean, I know for me, even like if you want to, you know, play a feature set on Writers Round or a Monday or any showcase around town, I think it goes a long way to go check out said showcase. Actually,
absolutely,
you know, like take it in and visit and, you know, meet the people involved, and then then I think that definitely goes a long way to say, hey, I checked it out, I was there, I love this and that.
That makes a big difference. Yeah, a lot of people just want to eat the bread rather than bake it.
Oh, damn, that is a bar right there. Yes, a lot of people want to eat the bread rather than bake it. No, I love that.
Like I do get texts from people being like, oh, how can you hook me up with that gig? And it's like, well, you've never come to watch me play there. So if I'm going to need a sub, I'm going to give it to someone who's like come along and knows the vibe and supported me as well. Not just me, but the place, and understands that
understands what goes on there, what goes into the gig, what, like, because if they've seen it firsthand,
for me personally, like I know I need to be at the places that I want to be playing at, which is hard because I sometimes like for work I play a lot of like corporate gigs and things, so I'm like trying to make an effort to be in the environments that I want to work at, and like even when I went to the like I just played this party for the Emmys, like the after party for an Emmys thing, and you know there was one guy that got up to sing, and he's written a lot of amazing music, and I went to his Instagram, and even though he might not have remembered my name, like he remembered the song that we did together, and so I like did a joke thing about that song, and then he started following me that way, and I'm just as that's I'm definitely thirsty. It's just like trying to.
No, I think
try not to go for the obvious drink. I don't know.
I think that, like I said, it goes a long way when you take an interest in what the person is doing too. That maybe you're trying to play with, or you're trying to.
Well, I don't know anyone here. It's not like anyone's come up to me and been like, "Do you want to do this?" Person that we don't know existed. Like, and I think that's something you're really good at yourself. Is I've admire your skills there.
Thank you.
I mean, you were like, I want to play here, and now you're hosting it. Times how many nights? 3?
No. I mean, I do a couple of different things, but thank you so much.
It's like your poster says, the work thing, working for it.
Yeah, don't just wish for it, work for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Okay, I want to talk briefly just about. You mentioned this manager situation. Now, I just want to you don't have to get a ton into it. Is there anything that maybe you would advise other artists maybe to like avoid a certain situation, or that's the only thing that I would
this was in New Zealand, and in New Zealand I sort of had most of my following was there, and I wanted to mainly just get the right kind of gigs, and that manager was one of the only like males that were interested in managing that weren't creepy at the time. And like, I don't know, I just talked to him and like he'd done a couple of good things for other New Zealand artists. For me, he would get me like the big corporate gigs in New Zealand, which would pay my rent for a month or something, you know, like one of those. So he would be good at those kind of deals, even though musically, maybe it wasn't the best fit. It's very... It's like, I put your music through a machine and it's come out as country, so maybe we should go for the country market. I'm like,
no.
But then he'd be like, I got you this $2,000 gig. So I was like,
Okay.
But yeah, I think just keep your wits about you. And for me now, like I haven't had a manager in a long time, and I don't want to be like this person that comes forward with bad experiences, because I think there's so many great people out there, genuine things. But yeah, it is kind of like him and. I think he's not doing music management anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I just started to notice that just some of the emails were like just a little unprofessional. And for me now, I'm like, well, what? Even for a manager, they want to see that you're doing as much as you can for yourself, because, you know. So now I'm like, okay, what could they do that I can't do myself? I mean, I would love assistance with like helping me think big picture, because sometimes I struggle with that, creating like a 5-year plan and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I would just say, just make sure that they were into your music and had like a plan and wasn't just talking the talk. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Have you been approached by management before?
No, not really. No, I haven't had a ton of experience with managers, so that's why I was kind of like curious of your like, I guess advice if that comes up down the road.
It wasn't all bad. Like there was he helped me organize some good tours, and it was just started bringing people onto my shows. I was like, I don't know if this is the right kind of audience, or if he really gets me as a person.
Got it.
And then there was artists that were more commercial in New Zealand, and found out that were taking like a lot of money from them, and he was part of the not like he knew that my songs were going onto these shows without telling me. So when I found all that out, he was like publicly shamed for what he did. But yeah, I don't know. I think just trust your gut as much as possible. Go with your gut, but also like research them. Who else are they working with? Shoot the other people that they're working with a message, even if they don't reply. Just like to try and just find out what what the deal is. Cause
due diligence.
Due diligence. Be a detective.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. So let's talk about The Right Way. I love that song. You know this. I've told you a million times. It's like one of my favorite songs ever.
Thank you.
I put the missing mistake. It's such a great line to me. I love it. That song on Spotify, last check, it was like coming up on 200,000 streams. By the time this comes out, it might have 200,000 streams by then.
That'd be nice.
So that's quite a lot of streams. What do you attribute those streams to? Like, what is there something that you did in particular with that song to like get it up to that level? Or
honestly, I think I wrote that during the pandemic and put that EP out during the pandemic, but I put that song out as a single first. And I liked it the most on the EP. Someone else said that didn't sound like as strong as a single as some of the others. But I went with my gut and put that one out. And then that just got picked up on official playlists, and then just kept getting more official playlists. And there was a couple of key ones that were doing really well. And now they're like, it's still on some official playlists, but like personalized. You know those ones that like, yeah. So it honestly is a bit of a mystery to me, but I feel like that song can appeal to different kind of audiences. Like it can work on different playlists. I wasn't thinking about that when I wrote it, but I feel like it's pretty accessible. And and it's also like not overly intrusive, so it could get like an office stereo playlist or the picnic list and those ones. So I just kept getting picked up on some official playlists, and it's such a mystery because like I've had like zero luck other times with official playlists, but that one also got on some Apple playlists as well. So just had a bit of luck with that one. I haven't had as many playlists with any other songs yet, but yeah, I think just I know that for me, I need to work on making sure I have more songs lined up, ready to go as well. All the time, and having a bit of a plan.
Yeah.
And check what your distributor offers, because some of them, like that particular distribution company, part of the appeal was that they, as long as they get your songs and all the info about the songs, and you do your marketing plan, they know how you're going to work on it, they'll pitch it to Spotify directly, like their rep will. And so for me, I'm like, that makes the difference, because someone's out there vouching for it that have larger artists on their distribution company, like that are getting other playlists too. So like, yeah, I have worked with like companies. I just put it on like TuneCore. It's just up there straight away if you want it, which is great. I think we're so exhausted by the time we like finish the song. We're like, I just want it out there. But and this is something I need to work on myself, is like give it to your distribution company 6 weeks ahead. Well, first of all, ask if they do playlist pitching, because some of them will say, yeah, that's part of our service. And then you can find out like, well, why do they do that? What are they extra do they take? And like look at the fine print. But for me, it's definitely been worth it. I actually have one song in China with 2 million streams, and I have no idea why.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on this like app called QQ, which is like the Chinese Spotify. And I can't really access it, and I don't know how it's happened, but that is the only song I really get streaming money from.
Wow.
It's like a sad little piano song on an album from 2013, and I have no idea why it's had more songs than anything else.
Just through the distributor, do they automatically just put it on that app too? It's just one of the, because I know like when I upload a song on like DistroKid or whatever, there's Spotify and there's you know Tidal and like the main ones, but then there's all these others listed there that sometimes I don't even really pay attention to, and so that it'll send stuff out too. So I'm like, okay, cool, but I never really see. I guess I never really see because I have like, Spotify for artists, so I see the numbers there. Of course,
and Apple.
Yeah. So how did you even notice or see or discover that this was doing this on?
So I check my back end of the distribution company.
Yeah.
Quite often, I was like, get addicted to check like, where is it being listened to the most? And I know you can do that with Spotify, but on your back end of your distribution, like where you go to upload the song, they should be providing you with all that info. Like, where is your song being heard the most? Yeah. And then for me, all of a sudden, I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm getting actually some money from streaming. Not a lot. Like, it was like a couple, I don't even know how much it was, but I was like, and then it was like they do a pie chart, and they showed me that my most, like, so the service that's playing my music most is called like QQ, and one called like Kaigo. And they're all in Asia. Wow. So I'm like, am I going to go to China and like
do a tour?
I did play in China in 2013.
Nice.
I was playing for an artist, and so we played a lot of shopping malls, and like it was crazy. It was nuts. But I don't know why that song. I tried to go to the QQ site, but you know how like sometimes VPN stuff is tricky. Yeah. I tried to translate it. It's just I think it's gone to like some kind of chat program or something. I have no idea. But people were like, there was a whole forum about the song, and like people were commenting on it and like talking about it. Wow. And like I was like, I don't know how to act on that. Like, do I record the song in Chinese? I lived in Japan for a little bit. I'd be better at doing it in Japanese. And like one song I released, Best Thing in the Room, that got on New Music Friday, but in Japan. Wow. So it's just like really random. Yeah. Most of my singles with them have been on like Apple New Music artists and some indie Apple playlists as well. So don't overlook Apple, I think, too. Yeah. And also I know that like Amazon, you can now go in and add an intro to your song. Like, hi, I'm Broadway B. This is my new song, blah, blah, blah. So when someone that uses Amazon asks for that song, they have to have Amazon Music. Yeah. But they can like hear that. There's little things in these other companies like Amazon, Pandora, they have like a back end for their artists, and those like lesser there was one in France called Deezer that I was getting quite a few plays on as well. So it's like, I'm like, oh cool, that's good to look at those ones as well, because there's so much saturation with Spotify and everyone's but that's been the one that people have told me they've heard my song on the most, but I haven't.
Wait, which one?
I listen to your song on Spotify.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I also try and plug Bandcamp as much as possible. Because that's, if you actually want to earn money from those songs, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a mystery, the streaming. But I would like look at who you're signing up for. Like, Amazon. Okay, well, hang on. I went to Amazon, and my profile photo for Amazon Music was from like 2013, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta like keep those assets up. Oh, it's so much work.
It is, yeah.
So much work if we want to write songs.
Right. Yeah, no, it is a lot, but yeah, no, it's a good kind of reminder to kind of, definitely.
And there's websites like Chartmetric where you can check.
Yes.
Don't forget to for me, I was like, I'll just do that for a month, and then I forgot, and it's very expensive.
Oh, you forgot to? Yeah, no, it is very expensive.
But after that, yeah. So, but if that's really important to you to build your fan base up, you're like, oh wow, that's like show you all the playlists that you're on and like all the different streaming things. So
I actually just was looking into Chartmetric myself. I actually just signed up and so right now I'm on the it's like the trial or whatever.
Yeah, don't forget.
Yeah, right.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like the top tier version is very expensive, but also one thing that I found useful with that is that I want to, my music is a cross between Aloe Black, Shabuzi, and Post Malone or whatever, let's say. So I can go look and see, okay, what are the top cities, countries where Aloe Black's music is doing well? What are the top cities and countries where Shabuzi is doing well? What are the top cities, countries where Post Malone is doing well?
Totally.
And then I can say, okay, look at all of those. I'm actually kind of been in the process of doing this. So I can look at all of those, see where they're top, and then I can see also if there's any that correlate. So if they have some in common, if all three are all big in Dallas or whatever, then maybe I can run ads targeted in Dallas and have, so that's
and also
something I'm looking at now.
The local university radio stations, the college radio stations, email the programmers of those places as well, because they're going to be playing your songs. For me, KCOW has SoundBetter radio, but I got added to Eclectic 24, which is a digital station. This is for Boy Don't Cry, and that plays kind of nonstop overnight. And so had a lot of Shazams from that too. So yeah, if there's but we have those radio stations, we know, okay, for submissions, this is where you email. But then maybe if you like a particular show, find out that person's email as well, if it's a specific genre or thing. So yeah. But yeah, the streaming thing is a mystery. But Submit Hub have been, I know it's with Submit Hub, I take it with a grain of salt. Right. Because if you want feedback, you don't, it could be really helpful, but it could just be one dude in a basement who's life didn't go as well as he wanted it to, and he's taking it out on you as well. So
100%. No, I think as far as Submit Hub, the way I kind of tend to approach that is you'll get some random people saying random things, and you can kind of take or leave that. But I will say there's been times where I've gotten the same feedback multiple times from different people. So then I'm okay, maybe there's something to that.
Yes.
If everybody is commenting on the production of a song, okay, so maybe I need to step up my production on the next time. You know what I mean? And so I think this was one song in particular from a long time ago. It was I think I kept getting comments on the production, and so I was okay, I need to kind of take a different approach, for the production, or maybe so I think
find playlists that prefer lo-fi production, or
true. So yeah, I think there you can take something from it if
totally. My favorite was, oh, this sounds like you've mixed this yourself. Good luck for no, not good luck. Thanks, well done for giving it a go. Yeah. Blah blah blah. But it was actually a Grammy-nominated mixing engineer mixed this.
Right.
So.
Wow. Yeah. So
you never know. And I went to their blog and I was okay, they have 60 followers. Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't.
I'm the queen of unsolicited advice. So.
Yeah. You're you can't take
I mean, I'm receiving unsolicited advice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One time somebody told me you should use more. You should have more protagonist background choruses.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I agree. No,
I was like, what is that? What does that even mean? I have no idea what that even means. So sometimes, yeah, you just get random advice, and it's like,
and they're getting paid to like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. All right,
yeah.
Go ahead. What you about to say?
No, but yeah, it's still I've gained some really helpful playlists on that as well.
Yeah,
I'm always skeptical of like paying for fake plays and that kind of thing. I feel like it's gonna fuck up your actual algorithm.
Yep.
So do your homework and like go to the reviews of those kind of places if you are going to go down that line, because I think it could really sabotage your chances of doing that. So it's like,
right. From everything I've seen, everything I've heard, and just personal experience, if they're offering you a specific number of plays for an amount of money, don't do that.
It's like if a tree falls, I'm going to hear it. Like it's like you could have that play, but is that really going to be a real person?
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, those are going to be bots, and then it's gonna.
Bots need to listen to music too.
Bots do need good music as well. But maybe you just have the bots listen to somebody else's music, because I know people that are also getting their music taken down and stuff like that. So
scandalous.
So that's not, you don't want that to happen. You don't want to go through that drama.
Yeah, and it's so hard because we're applying for festivals. We're like trying to. And a lot of people, I think the right people will know what's not real, like a real thing. Like it's like if someone's got fake likes, if you go to the thing, you can see that they're like all bots. But some people, it's like frustrating because we're like, oh, well, I know I'm at their level, but I don't have the same following. And people that are like don't think about it will just see they have a bigger following and book them and stuff. So it's tricky to know how to get ahead. But I just think, just really responding to your real fans and just growing it that way is going to be the way forward. Yeah, for sure. But it's frustrating.
These are the quick shortcuts are like tempting, but it's just I've tried some of those things back in the day. Yeah. And it just, at the end of the day, it doesn't really, doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. Yeah. Because what you want is real fans, real people, real listeners. Like I said, the bot streams on. It's like, okay, it might look cool for 5 minutes, but then So and like I said, plus you don't want to get your shit taken down, so that would be bad. Yeah. And Spotify is starting to crack down on that kind of shit from what I've heard, and so.
Yeah, I think with Spotify as well, just keeping everything updated, the bio, the photos, the canvases, all that kind of stuff, and checking the Spotify for artists pretty often. You might be added to a playlist you don't know about. Go find that playlist and find the person that made it and thank them. Yeah. I'm sure that doesn't happen to them often. They get thanked for the stuff like that, Right, so I'm always like, what department store's playing added my song? And maybe I can get free clothes from that. You never know. Yeah. I'm always out for free stuff. So.
Yeah, no, and thanking that person who added you on the playlist. Then maybe next time you have a release, then that's kind of like an in or relationship.
Yeah, and that's been for me for Submit Hub too as well.
Yeah. Okay, so you were talking about you are because of your visa. You said you can only work in music.
Yeah. So I'm an alien.
So you are full-time music, which is like a goal for a lot of people. A lot of people, we have our side jobs and all these kinds of things trying to make it work because LA is fucking expensive.
Oh yeah.
And it's tough. Yeah. So how has that been? First of all, also, being from another country, coming over here, and then the pandemic happens. Did you come right before the pandemic started?
I did, yeah. So
that's insane.
I had my visa approved in August 2019, and I had just spent so much money on lawyers and that. I was like, honestly, I don't even have, they don't really you don't know when it's ready. They just tell you. Okay. And then your visa starts then. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I got to get over there. Yeah. But I was like, oh, I don't have any money. So I actually had a few months later, in end of November, I had a cruise ship ask if I would go play on the ship between LA and Mexico. Okay. For 6 weeks, and I was like, oh, they can drop me off in LA. I could start my life there. Nice. So I took them up on that. They flew me from New Zealand and that's where I started my life in LA. So I did 6 weeks, and I said, I'm going to take any song request to try and earn money because Americans tip. And so I worked my butt off on that ship, and played there 7 nights a week for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And then they dropped me off January 4th, 2020. And I was like, all right, let's see what we can do here. I'll find work.
Wow.
Honestly, the first bit of work I got was on SoundBetter. I actually was hired to do vocal producing and write with an artist in person, which is not common on SoundBetter.
Yeah.
But I was paid to like go co-write with people.
Nice.
So that was cool. But I was still looking for venues to play at. And then I auditioned at this place that I still play at now, actually. And I did two shifts, 2 gigs there, and everything shut down. So I didn't have like a support network, and I couldn't get American unemployment or anything. So I had very little savings. So not to go all sob story, but I roughed it pretty hard, like free clothes off Facebook. I lived a pretty comfortable life in Australia and New Zealand, but this was like kind of next level. But I was like, do I stay or do I go back to New Zealand? And it was really tough to get back to New Zealand with COVID because they were so strict there.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
and so I was like, I'll just live a very simple life and write as much as I can. Got a cat, and just like waited until things opened up. And then I was like, I had to say yes to every gig, every weird gig there was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand was like one of the strictest countries in terms of like going in and out, if I remember correctly. During the pandemic. But that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, so like talk about that. Like, okay, the world shuts down, you can't really like do live gigs. Like, how did you survive that?
I found a few piano students on Craigslist.
Okay.
I applied for every like little pockets of grants there were. Like there was a jazz foundation grant for $400, and this is like, I don't call myself a jazz musician necessarily, but I just like wrote about the Jules Holland gig or the jazz artists I've played with, and like so trying to angle that and just like hustle for bits of income. And it was not an easy time for me at all, and like I felt very homesick and didn't really have that core group of friends. I had one friend of mine who I do a lot of music with. We had a lot of Zooms with his group of friends, and now my close friends too.
Nice.
But I was like, okay. I worked under like semi-illegally at this drive-in movie theater in Hollywood, like looking into cars to see if they were there for the movie at like midnight, which was like so brutal.
Okay.
I'd never really done a non-music job since I worked at Dunkin' Donuts when I was 15, but I was like, I'll do anything just to earn extra money. It was not a nice job for me. Like they had no signs up, so people were like, "Where's this movie theater?" And like I was like, "Hey, you looking for the movie?" And I was like, people just like making out in the car or like doing drugs. I'm like, sorry. I worked hard to keep myself going here for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't have a car or anything. It was like took some time, and then I said yes to every gig that came up, and then slowly was getting referred for more things, and like again approaching all these venues. Learned to drive on the other side of the road eventually.
Nice.
The first car I had like got totally broke down and was no longer usable. But it was just been like taking time, and so now I think I've had this like fear of saying no to stuff, but I'm also like, what's the goal here? I would, for those gigs that I was doing, the work kind of gigs, like the playing at like events or weddings, it was helpful, but I earned more in New Zealand than I did for those here because it's more competitive and just takes time. But now I've worked hard to like, create a life, and I'm trying to now at this point turn a few gigs that aren't making me feel like happy down, because I love songwriting, and I want to go home and like feeling good about that. But it's also like I'm grateful for the skills I have to make a life for me with music. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually really lucky to be doing this. Like it might not be the dream gig all the time, but like this is pretty cool. I think my first LA moment was when I was working at that movie theater, drive-in movie theater. And probably shouldn't say that because I was illegally working. Sent back home. But like one of the guys that worked there hosts comedy nights, and there was like an outdoor comedy night that was, when things were slowly starting to happen. It was like, oh, we need a keyboard, and ended up being for Craig Robinson. And so I was just like sing along, and he got me up on stage, and we did like 6 songs together, and he sat me down, offered me some of his weed.
Nice.
I went in his private car to like the next thing, and I was like, he was cool. And he's told me, because I think part of what I do is like, I love accompanying other artists and playing with the bands, but I also love doing my own thing. But I think sometimes I'm like, oh, I have to get everyone involved. He's like, you can enjoy being center stage. You know, you don't have to like downplay that. Like he saw that in me, because sometimes I think I do so many gigs that are like, let's all do this thing. And I love that. But like he was really spoke to me. That was like my first kind of LA moment, I suppose. And we still keep in touch a little bit.
Nice.
And yeah, I was just like, oh, wow, okay. Because sometimes I really felt crazy for coming over here and doing that. And I still have trouble backing myself. And, you know, it's just nice to have those couple of moments every now and then when someone's like, oh, yeah, you're good at that thing and you should do that. And you're like, oh, okay.
Which is why you're on the podcast.
Yeah.
No,
I bribed him. I gave him $600 to be on this.
No, not at all.
Like that music conference, that sync conference I went to in 2015. If you want to showcase, you have to pay like $5,000.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. You also play, at the Dresden quite frequently, which is like an iconic place in LA.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, no, I've been several times. Super cool.
You've sung there too.
I have sung with you only because you've invited me, and that's been amazing. How did that one come about?
Yeah, so I first, actually that same 2015, it's like a lot of like links between what I did then and now. I had someone tell me about it, and when I first landed in LA, I was very jet lagged, and they took me to the Dresden. I ended up singing with Marty and Elaine, who used to play there, and singing some jazz standards with them that night. And so I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. So I've always like really, really loved that place, and I appreciate the history of it.
Yeah.
When I came back for 2 months in 2019, when I was like visiting and trying to figure out if I really wanted to go through with moving here and the visa, I would be there like almost every night I could be, and loved the place. So there was a musician, unfortunately, Marty, he passed away out of the couple, and they shut down for about a year. After that, then they started slowly bringing music back, and I had a friend who asked me to fill in a couple of times, and then I was eventually offered the gig. I didn't steal their gig. I'm not a gig stealer. Don't be a gig stealer. But it just worked out. They weren't able to do Sundays, so, and then I play there now twice a month. So that's really cool, and I love playing in the house band at Desert 5 too. And I appreciate different genres, and like I really like playing blues style piano, and so that's a cool outlet for me to do that. Yeah. And also means I have no sleep.
No, I understand.
No, and it's been great because it's helped me like get pretty used to learning like a lot of songs very quickly.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, honestly, you probably know more songs than anybody I know. Like it's insane. How many songs would you say that you know?
Well, there's knowing and there's knowing.
Sure.
But how many songs can I wing? No, so I have a song list, so I provide if I'm doing an event, someone wants to sing along or like pick songs, requests. And there's like 2,600 on there.
That's crazy.
But there's probably ones that I remember the first night the piano karaoke thing is something I've had as a little side business.
Yeah.
So I started doing that in Australia to 4 people in a dive bar. Someone asked, oh, do you think you could host like a piano karaoke kind of night? I was like, oh, cool. And then now that's taken me to like do events like the Emmys thing that I just did. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. That's cool. That's progress that you've done, even though it's not like they're not all listening to your original songs. Like I'm responsible for like holding the fort and having these like Emmy winners come and sing with me. And
super cool.
And like, so I'm like, oh, that's cool. Just remembering that stuff. But I've been playing in bars probably since I was 15. Yeah. So building up that repertoire of songs bit by bit. And for me, I have a musical memory. I find remembering words really hard. To the point when I did National Anthem, I had it as my screensaver, like the lyrics to it, because I was like trying to learn it so much. Wow. But melodies, I find it pretty... I can hear it. If I've heard something a few times, it's kind of locked into my brain enough to like do a good enough job, which has been a good little party trick.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
To earn money and yeah.
No, you kill it. It's like it's crazy to watch. Especially, I've even seen somebody request a song at a gig you're doing, whether it's at the Dresden or something. You're like, yeah, I don't really know that one, but sure, let's do it. Which is insane to me. Like I could never do that. I feel like if I didn't know a song,
some of the gigs I've never heard in my life, but if someone's like, I'm not used to tipping culture, like basically. Like one of the gigs I do, it's like very based on requests and people tipping for the requests. So I was playing with another piano player. It's like 2 pianos at once, and it's like, oh, they're like, I don't know the song. They tipped like $70 for it or something, and I was like, oh. So I'll find the music and I'll like sight sing it. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna, this might be, not the best version, but here you go. And most people appreciate you trying.
Yeah. No. That's super cool.
I love that. I mean, I worked on some of those TV shows, like X Factor, like doing accompaniment in New Zealand and stuff, which also like took me to like the tropical, like Rarotonga with Natasha Bedingfield, and like just getting to know people in those ways as well has been cool. And some people can go on to find your own music through that. And I really struggle with knowing to keep my work life, musical life, and my artist stuff completely separate, or just to be really honest and upfront about the realities. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still always trying to figure that one out. Yeah. But I think people more than ever just want to know what your life is like in a real way. For sure. And the weird shit that you go through to do it, the stuff you want to do.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool when you're doing your like piano karaoke gigs, or at the Dresden, where you're doing mostly covers, but then you mix in your original stuff and like that too. No, I think it's cool.
I had like head of a big like studio artist come up to me after the original, and turns out they worked for like a really awesome recording studio, and they're like, what was that song? And then they reposted it on their Instagram, and so even if you don't think people are listening all the time, I was playing at a wedding, and I was playing background music, and then a really big music supervisor like came and talked to me and said, I like those versions of songs you were doing. So you really never know. And then I had a phone meeting with them, and it turns out they put a song on one of their shows already, which was weird. But you just don't know. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I really think also that there's something to the piano karaoke that you do. Like and I also think, because I personally never really liked karaoke, because a lot of times the original key of a song is not where I would like to sing it comfortably. Yes, you know what I mean? And so like sometimes like if I'll start doing karaoke and then it's like, I was like, oh shit, I forgot it's in this key or what, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
for sure.
So it's like, if, there's a live player like such as yourself that can do, that can adjust the key. Yes. Then it's like, oh, dope. So then like, so it's like, I love singing with you. So I think if you get like the right spot, it could definitely be like a cool hang just for musicians.
Yeah, I used to do it there.
But for that, I know. Yeah. Like, and I think like, I don't know. I think there's something to that. I feel like you should bring it back. Do it. For sure. Like, I mean, that's just me.
Well, for me, I'm more interested in playing. Like, I get so sick of this kind of, what's the word? The vain side of music where you're like, which photo should I put up? And like, what should I post about my song today? And like, get caught up in that. For me, I love the therapeutic side of music that way as well. So I'm more interested in backing someone that's never sung in their life to a point. Like if they're a cool person, like, and they don't sing normally, I'm like, I would love to help you try and sing in public, because I've had people like, I had one guy in like face tattoos, like I was doing piano karaoke. I used to do it every week in Melbourne, Australia, and this guy who looked so like tough and like you wouldn't want to mess with him, and he was like hanging out at the end, and I was like, would you want to do a song? And he picked, and I was like, he's gonna pick like, in my head I'm like, what's he gonna pick? And then he picked like Christina Aguilera's Beautiful. And he sung it, and he just started sobbing. And I was like, wow, like I'm helping with some stuff, and he's helping me with some stuff, It's that side of music. And like, I enjoy playing at like the old people's homes as well, because the kind of memories that music can create and that side of things. And it takes me away from worrying about stuff that for me is not like the core of music and what it can do. So I like that. And I like that about piano karaoke. I'm less interested in playing for someone that's going to be rude and like a diva about, which happens.
I bet.
But if it's a fun time, then I absolutely love doing it, and have done it. Doing that more and more for parties as well. And I can also like get to play a few songs and then host it, and Yeah, make it fun and not too competitive and just like a good vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lisa Crawley.
Hi. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I
Broadway
appreciate
B.
you. Yeah,
Of
this
course.
has been a fantastic conversation.
I've enjoyed myself.
I
very
feel
much.
like people get a lot out of it. So I thank you so much for
Of course,
being
thanks
here.
for having me.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. I'm gonna
right.
go home, learn some songs.
Peace. All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Broadway, the host. If you got something out of the episode, definitely go ahead and hit the like button. Also, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can get notified whenever we drop new episodes. If there was something specific that you learned or found interesting, put that in the comments. Also, if there was something that you thought you were going to learn more about, wanted to hear more about, and you didn't, put that in the comments as well. We can use that to make these episodes better going forward. Thank you again for checking out They're Good at That Shit.